They linked me up on a Zoom under my pergola. Luckily, I had the kids there. Jessica Rowe was live channeling me. Everyone was in the star. I had baby with a nappy. It's like, this is what it's like to be a working mum.
What does it take to scale to 7 figures and beyond and grow with purpose? Tune in for stories, strategies, and tactics from founders and business leaders who've been there and done that. Welcome to episode number 1 of the Scaling Business Podcast. Today, I'm really excited to be hanging out with my good friend, Miriam. I've known Miriam for a long time. Miriam is an award-winning accountant, an entrepreneur, mom of 5, a great friend. I tell you what, if you want to have a friend, you want to have a friend like Miriam.
Oh, thanks, John. Oh, thank you.
She's
That's
one of
very
those friends.
nice.
If you want to have a good friend who is loyal and can have a good time, then you want to hang out. You want to hang out with Miriam. We met like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
At the Entourage. Do you remember those early Entourage?
Yeah, they were pretty wild. Even John was wild back in the day. I remember like a dance floor or two.
Yes.
You had like one drink maybe, and you're like, he's the life of the party.
Yeah.
You can pull a move. I like to think John and I have had a friendship where we can't even talk for like 2 years, and then all of a sudden we're like still best friends.
Yes.
We're like, oh yeah, this happened. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like we've been through a lot.
Yeah.
12 plus years.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a journey.
It has been a bit of a journey. You've had your ups and downs. I've had my ups and downs. I think when I met you, I wasn't even a dad. Now I'm a dad.
Yeah.
And
I've been a mum forever, so you
you've
know.
been a mum for a long time.
I've always been a mum, so yeah.
That's always exciting. So, Nan, I'm really excited to have you here. This is my first podcast, really, my first podcast recording. So, I'll have to say Miriam broke my podcast sherry.
There you go. Love it.
So, we're looking forward to sort of learning a lot about Miriam's journey and what some of the things you've done. And I guess your philosophy in terms of business and life, and what are some of the lessons you've learned along the way. So I guess I'm going to ask you the typical podcast question that everyone asks.
Love it.
So going back those early days, when you're in high school and you're going to uni, was business always on the cards for you, or was it something you stumbled into, or how did you get into this business thing?
No.
Yeah.
Business was not on the cards.
Okay.
I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to like get into the gory blood and like everything and help people.
Okay.
And because that's what smart people do. Smart people need to be doctors. That's what the parents want their children to be, is a doctor.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a doctor. A whole lot of group of my girlfriends wanted to be doctors. So we all went in, did the UMAT test, and we all failed the UMAT test.
Fair enough.
So the only test I've ever failed, still got a little bit of a sore spot about it, but I am so glad. In hindsight, you look back and I go, I'm not born to be a doctor. I hate blood. I don't really care about all the sickness and or pushing all the drugs or whatever else. I mean, doctors do an amazing job, but I was just like, that's not me. I'm glad I failed that UMAT test.
It's funny you say that because I wanted to be a doctor too.
Everyone smart wants to be a doctor.
And I missed out on the qualification by 0.5 of a point, 0.5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You needed, I think, well, that was back in Kenya. You needed some 0.5 of a point.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, stuff it. I'm not going to do medicine. I'm going to do IT. It was the next best choice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you wish that you could have been a doctor, or
No,
how do you feel your life would have panned out
absolutely.
being a doctor?
I'm so glad I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
I do not like the sight of blood. I don't like
Yeah.
pain. I'm one of those people who, if you ever sick and you had to stay in hospital for an extended period of time, I'm probably not going to be the person who visits you.
Yeah.
But
Get me out of the hospital
I'll
as
look
soon as
after your
quickly.
dog. I'll do whatever I need to help you out from outside the hospital.
Yeah.
But I'm not I hate hospitals.
Yeah. I feel like if I did become a doctor, I probably would have tried to open up like a wellness clinic or have like multi-services going on and really look at a holistic perspective.
Yeah.
But I'll just leave that to the entrepreneurial doctors to go down that path and I'll just stick to my day job.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you decide you don't want to become a doctor. Why accounting? Like,
I was going to be a lawyer.
Okay. But you are a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to mention
but
that
I was
in the
going to be,
intro.
I was really wanted to get into law because that's the next thing that smart people do.
Yeah.
Law, and then had a few litigious matters.
Okay.
And realised it's not really family-friendly occupation for me.
Yeah.
And had always been doing accounting and law together.
Okay.
And then just was doing family books, doing my sister's tax returns, and just a solid, could do it, loved numbers, loved money.
Okay.
Some people just like money, and I like money, and I like, working out how to make more money.
Yeah.
And also, so it just naturally fell into what I was doing, was good at it. And kitchen table story, grew up from 0 clients to now just a lot of clients, and managing that business plus a few other family businesses. And trying to work out how to do it all and be superwoman and look good.
Yes.
You
are looking really good.
I'm half joking about it, but just trying to get every piece of the little pie together.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'm going to take you back to the early days of starting this business.
Yeah. Can't even remember those, John. So long ago now. No, it was...
I've had different fragments of stories from the early days, the first building you bought and all that kind of stuff. What are some of the challenges you find yourself like really, really confronting about?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the challenges?
Probably I just fluffed around for a lot of time. Yeah. Like a lot of time fluffing around. But you had to do that. I just respect that was part of my journey.
Like fluffing around, what do you mean by fluffing around?
Just not doing the business like I'm doing now, like thinking that I was doing a business. But I don't really know what I was doing. I did have like little kids at the time, but it took a while for me to get into the groove of things. Even when I met you, I wasn't really in the groove. Yeah. Just learning how to do a business, run a business, have staff, get clients, do the actual work. Yes. And still learning that, and now to an even greater extent that. But it was all a journey. I learned a lot along the way, and now if I was to do it again, I would do it again a lot smarter. But hey, at the time you don't know any better, and you're in the wilderness for a little while trying to find your feet.
Yeah. I mean, looking back, what are some of the beliefs you had then about business and life that you no longer have? I mean, what are some of the limiting beliefs you've had to overcome to get yourself to this point? Or should I say overcome and still overcoming?
Yeah.
Because I feel like this mindset, limiting belief stuff is like an ongoing process. You never really kind of...
Yeah, I still find today I have to challenge my limiting beliefs. And I also, like, constantly every day, I'm like, no excuses. Yeah. Like, it's hard running businesses with 5 children. And then I go, oh, look at the person that like doesn't have all these challenges. And then look at me, and like, it's so unfair on me. Like, hey, I've got the kids. I love my kids, and it's like I love business. Yeah. So when I've got these 2 passions in life, I love what I do at work. I love being a mum at home. How can I be the best of both of those worlds without compromising too much on one of them? Yeah. And I guess probably having children so young then, and still having children now, I've got a 17-year-old and a 2-year-old. I'm living and breathing this passion for both areas.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting.
Did I answer your question around the early days?
Yeah, you did answer the question about the early days. Because I think I've met you probably during the early days, I think.
Yeah. So it was a few years in. I started to find my feet.
Yeah. And I can also relate very highly about the whole fluffing around and doing stuff. I mean, I always wonder, why is it that we try and avoid doing the real stuff? Like okay, we go to all these conferences. I mean, you and I have been through. We've been through the programs. I've signed up to every single course almost possible.
I've gone to see every single business speaker event, free event. I'm there.
Paid event,
I've done all the courses, but then like and even now, I chat to friends about it now. I'm in like sort of this little mastermind of just friends that are really switched on. It's like, I learned so many things. I'm
Yeah.
going to so many things,
Yeah.
but was I actually then applying it
Yeah.
to my life,
Yeah.
to my business?
Yeah.
Or did I do a nice, fun weekend? We
Yeah.
do a little bit of partying.
Yeah.
We learn a little bit of business. We
Yeah.
have a good time. I did get networks.
Yes.
So I did, I made a lot of networks,
Yeah.
but was I applying the business principles
Yeah.
to my business
Yeah.
as effectively and productively as I could at the time?
With the whole fluffing around, just to dwell on that a little bit, what do you think it is? Is it a fear? Is it that people are afraid of succeeding? Is it that people are afraid of failing? Is it, from your opinion, is it that you're afraid to do it? Is it, where do you think that resistance come from? Because I find myself in situations whereby I've been really focused on doing stuff, and then I've also find a situation whereby, yes, you're just fluffing around, doing stuff for the sake of doing stuff. What do you think it is? Because I kind of feel like if you're able to sort of help people break out of that whole fluffing around and you're able to just focus on what needs to be done, the actual things that move a business, a lot of people could be a lot more happier. And I'm sure you work with a lot of businesses and you meet a lot of people who are fluffing around.
I think that it is, we get into a comfort zone.
Yeah.
We find our comfort zone. We get into our little niche in the beginning time. I didn't need to really make money. I had a partner making money. So I wasn't like desperate for money. So that wasn't the issue. So then and money should never be the goal. But I was in a comfort zone. And then I might do something to push me out of my comfort zone. Like at one point I got a ridiculously high mortgage. When you've got a ridiculously high mortgage, you are so much more focused on a daily basis around what you're doing because you've got bills to pay. I get on more staff. As soon as I've got more team on, I have to now pay for those team members. So I'm going to be a lot more accountable to what I'm doing and to what my team are doing. Or I invest in a program. All of a sudden, I'm more accountable. So I have to put myself under pressure. To get myself out of a comfort zone. And then and now at the moment I'm setting myself pretty high goals and or putting a bit of pressure under me. I'm the type of person that I can handle the pressure or I like pressure. Otherwise we go into a little retirement mode and I also put some pressure on myself and go, am I playing to my highest potential ability? Am I living and doing what I know I am possible of doing?
Is it something you've had to sit down and write down and define that this is my highest level potential, something I'm capable of doing, or is it something that is unfolding as you go? I mean, what I'm trying to get to is, do you sit down and kind of sit down and like, okay, these are my goals. This is what I really know I'm capable. This is what I'm gunning for. And that's what I want to go for. Or is it something that you're kind of like, okay, because for me, I tend to be the kind of person who my things expand as I go. As I build my confidence, I take on more goals.
I think I'm a bit of both.
Okay.
So I wrote down some goals on a Post-it note. Last year, I didn't quite achieve them. But then I've also got and I do a bit of visualization. So I've got where I want to be. Like I'm doing visualization around where I want to be. But then I think I've done those things. I've done vision boards. I've done a lot of things. But then it's on a day-to-day basis. Am I following through on those? And there's been times where, like 2 years ago, I did not want to listen to a personal development, a business, anything. I did not care or give a stuff about anything business. I didn't want to listen to anyone. So I was not in a really good headspace. Business is still going, but it was like a real struggle. And then I realized, I was like, something's wrong with me. I'm not quite where I should be. And then it was like hanging around people or just getting back into it. So it's like we go through the ebbs and flows of things. And then I'm in a really motivated state right now. I'm hanging around other motivated people. And I'm like, I don't want to let this go for where I am. Because I know previously I've been highly motivated in really good states. Things are going well, and then something happens, life throws you a curveball, and you're potentially not your best self. So it's just like right now I'm in this let's keep this going zone.
Awesome. I'm gonna drill down on that a bit because I'm a big believer that it's hard to separate your personal life and business, and what you have in your personal life will eventually flow into your business. So if you're having like a funk, you're going through a funk. I call them going through, because I go through times that my wife says you're in a funk. My wife says you're going through a funk.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you pull yourself out of those situations and go, right, I've got a mission to achieve, I've got stuff to do, I gotta get stuff done, I've got a big goal. What's your strategy for pulling yourself out of that?
Yeah.
Because it's easy, because those yucky times, I call them yucky times, like those times can last, isn't it?
Oh.
Like, especially when you're going through something significant, it can really drag you down. Like it can really go. At what time do you go, all right, put myself together? Is there any strategy or something that you've used to sort of do that for yourself?
I call it lost in the wilderness. So at times, just lost in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Just not quite clear on things. So, and that was me a few years ago. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yes.
Like it was, for me, it's been, and I heard Diary of a CEO guy, he spoke at something and he said, like for some people dealing with depression or just trying to do one tiny baby step at a time. So it's about like cleaning your room or something. So the first step was get the vacuum cleaner in your bedroom.
Yes.
Get 1 meter away, like tiny baby steps in the direction that you want to go. So for me, very tiny. And even like I'm now really become a gym junkie and I'm going to the gym like every single day. So I was like, I saw someone else post and they were like, I've gone to the gym 165 times this year and all the excuses. And I'm like, I'm going to count up how many times I went to the gym this year because I'm going every single day. And then I had to look back and I went, I signed up in May. I didn't go to the gym for 2 months. In July, I went 2 times to the gym. In August, I went 4 times to the gym. In September, I went 8 times to the gym. So it was like that build up. It didn't automatically happen. I had to make the decision and then for 2 months I did nothing and then slowly just built it up. And I apply what I'm learning to all the areas and it's just like slowly. And, you know, we're impatient. I wanted everything yesterday. In business, in personal, in everything, we all want it yesterday. And it's never the case.
That makes a lot of sense. It's almost like when you sign up to the gym, it doesn't look like you're making progress, but then you're making like little steps. They're compounding to a point in time whereby you're now a gym junkie and you look amazing.
Well, it's more so, and it's still, but now I know this is part, and I've done it before. I've done fitness before. I've been highly motivated. Then I get lost in the wilderness. And life takes over or you just forget it. So I've got to work on strategies now to keep everything together and rolling. But it just starts by doing it. And it's like the first time I went to the gym, I wore a dress and a wool jumper. I had no gym clothes, nothing fit me. And I like, but it's just like I had to start. And it's like you'll see all the time on Facebook groups, people are like, I want to start something. And then they're asking questions about starting it. Just start it. Messy, like whatever, in a bad mood. If you know it's going to be something good for you, like business, stop talking about it. Just start it. Anything, new idea this year, just try it. How many times have we been in business like, I want to do this. John with his podcast, start it. Messy, not quite perfect. Got 100 questions written down on his iPad there. I'm like, well, how are we going to get through 100 questions, John? But he did the first thing, and I will always respect or honor anyone that is trying something. Everyone wants to be like social media stars. How many people are actually posting content and trying? And then you learn.
You learn. I must admit, like when you're starting something, you have to be prepared to suck and prepared to feel bad, like because
you have to be prepared to forget the chords. Half the chords are forgotten here today.
Well, I started the podcast thinking of what I was going to say, and then Miriam came in and was like, nah, screw that. We're gonna rearrange these. We're gonna do
John,
that.
these questions are boring.
Your questions are boring.
So we're mixing it up now. He's now gone off a little bit of script here.
I'm going off script.
I'm challenging John.
Yeah, I started
That's
off.
what good friends do.
I started off crunching deeply into my iPad. It's like, oh, this is what I'm gonna ask, and I'm not gonna deviate.
Yeah, good friends will challenge, and that's the thing. Hang around people that will challenge you.
I totally.
That will call you out.
Yeah.
Not just they're going to go, John, you're amazing.
Yeah.
Hang around with people that are in what you're doing
Yeah.
or are good in an area you want to be, and they're going to challenge you.
And I appreciate the fact that over the years you've been that kind of friend for me. It's kind of like you almost have different types of friends, right? You know, you have the kind of friends who, if you're going through a tough time, you go and whinge to them, and they're like, "Oh, poor thing, you'll be fine. It's okay." I don't think Miriam is one of them.
No, don't come crying. Don't cry to me, Argentina. Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Yeah.
I'm not going to listen to a pity party.
No. I think that's one thing I've picked up on you. Yeah. So it's like over the years, it's like, nah, if you've got something to whinge about, don't go to Miriam. If you've got a problem, if you want to problem solve and you want to have strategies, then that's the kind of friend you have to go to.
Yeah.
If you want to go cry to your mum.
But I see it so much with people, because I deal with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you can see the people that are just holding on to things and need to move on.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, fair enough. And then my sister will be like, you need to be more empathetic and understanding. And it's like, but, we've all had issues. Yeah. We've all had challenges. Yeah. And it's like, are we going to do the things to move past it? Or are we going to simmer in these challenges and things and not go on to better things?
Yeah. It kind of almost feel like this, how they say, the whole therapy things, or the whole talking therapy type thing it's great, but you can risk re-traumatizing yourself, because you keep talking about the same stuff. You keep rehashing and talking about it. So at some point, I guess you have to sort of like, okay, this is what's happened. I'm taking extreme ownership. I'm moving on. This is what's going to happen. Yeah.
And that's the type of people I like to hang out with.
Yes.
Because we're just calling each other out on our bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we just want to be in a pity party, feeling sorry for ourselves, or playing it. It's very easy to get some sympathy and everything else like that. Doing a lot of personal development. What type of, What do you get rewarded from people for, or do you just own it and then move on and make the best of some situations?
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things, accountability, isn't it? Like we hate accountability or something like that. That's why we don't want to take ownership of stuff.
John doesn't know where he is in his questions now.
That's it. I'm finding my way. Hey, I'm new. You said it's okay to suck.
Oh.
So I'm finding my way.
We'll do podcast 50 and John will be nailing it.
I'll be nailing it. Hopefully, if I pick up an English accent, and then I'll just be like Steve Bartlett.
Okay.
Maybe that's something I'm working on.
My friend loves to go to sleep at night listening to him. She's in a relationship with him and he doesn't realise.
Oh,
every night just puts it on.
He's very soothing.
Personally, I like the shorter and sharp. Like he's drag on for like 3 hours, and it's just like it's a lot of listening.
It's a lot of listening, but I don't mind the fact that especially if you put it on in the back of your mind and you go on and do some stuff. I think it's pretty good. Okay, so. All right, where am I? Okay. I guess one thing I wanted to ask you is you always seem to have this tenacity and stuff like that. Is there almost to the extent that most people feel like you almost feel like superwoman, but yet I know that most entrepreneurs struggle with imposter syndromes and self-doubt and stuff like that. What have you done for yourself to develop that confidence, to make the bold decisions in your business?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a weird one. I don't feel like I've ever suffered from imposter syndrome.
Okay, that's good.
I've just always felt like, imposter syndrome I've never really had too much of a problem with. Okay. Sometimes felt like a fish out of water. Okay. Definitely. Yeah. Particularly in the accounting sphere. Yeah. Like I'm not really like any of the others, but I've always just been like, okay, I've got to embrace it.
Yeah.
When I was a little bit younger and everyone else was more mature, I was kind of like, okay, I'm a little bit young and I'm female, but I'm like, I got to own it.
Yeah.
And now that I'm coming into a bit of maturity about things, I'm like, okay, this is now my weapon.
Okay.
How can I use it to my advantage?
Yeah.
So I don't really compare myself to other people in the industry. I just go, okay, this is me.
Yeah.
How am I going to play to my strengths in this industry? So, I don't really have, that's sort of how I've dealt with that confidence issue. I've also had a very unusually high level of self-esteem. I think it's probably my parents really fed my ego from a young age, told me I was smart. That's like, hey, and being competitive as well. Just that competitive, being positively endorsed as I was growing up. And then all of it kind of feeds into each other and you go, yeah, I'm like, my parents tell me I'm smart. Oh, I'm smart. Like I start thinking it, even though, you know, I failed the UMAT test.
You still have a bone. But I must admit, you know, I've obviously got to meet your dad and interacting, but I've also met your mom. I always joke. I always have this joke. Because remember, Ruth met your mom. Because when we were doing
my mom, God, I didn't realize this.
Yeah, she met your mom.
Oh yes.
When we were doing the Airbnb for on the Airbnb.
Yes.
Business. Miriam, for context, Miriam has one of Miriam businesses is managing Airbnbs. So when Ruth met your mom, she came in. I'd done all this work. We'd done all this work in kind of setting up the place. And then she came in, she's like, I don't like it. That's got to go. That's got to go. That's got to go.
Yeah.
It was almost like that.
Yeah.
So, and since then, every time my wife goes, oh, you're unleashing your inner Veronica.
Oh, wow. Inner Veronica. I love that.
Every time she gets spicy, I was like, ooh, you're unleashing your inner Veronica.
Oh, I love that.
Every time she goes, oh, I don't like it. That's got to go. That's got to go. And she's like, ooh. Every time she does that to me at home, with things, because she was very, you know, your mom was very blunt in terms of how things were supposed to be. And it wasn't like a suggestion or a negotiation.
Yeah.
It was like, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I was like, and I was just like, they're saying, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're going to remove that. We're going to get rid of that.
Yeah, I've had an inner Veronica mum. So like a bit of a know-it-all Karen.
Yeah.
She's watched every single YouTube. So she's very highly educated.
Yeah.
And very confident and knows.
Yeah.
Even I had a friend around and we had put some footballs up, like my kids have put footballs up on the roof, and my friend's a tradie, and my mum is telling the tradie who has dealt with lots of roofs how he can get up on the roof.
Okay.
I'm like, oh mum, how many roofs have you climbed in your day?
Yeah.
And my tradie friend's like, I know how to get up on a roof, but my mum was very confident in letting the tradie know how to get up on the roof.
How to get up and so what needs to be happen.
The inner Veronica.
So every time my wife gets spicy and she goes, okay, this, and that, and she goes very blunt, I'm like, ooh, you are unleashing your inner Veronica.
Hi, Mom.
But it wasn't in a mean way. She wasn't like mean or anything. It was just like it was actually nice because, you know, when you're in the presence of someone who knows what they're talking about and they know what they're doing and they're not there to muck around or sort of like negotiate, sometimes you kind of need that level of leadership.
Yes.
Where it's not like, oh, maybe we should do that. It's like, we need to do that. At least you need someone, I think you need to get to a situation where someone comes in and makes a decision.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what so if that's who raised you.
Yeah. Any decision is better than indecision.
Exactly.
I learned that one. Yeah. And every time, sometimes when I'm like not sure on a decision, I'll be like, indecision is worse than decision.
Yeah.
And it gets me back to like, just make a decision. And own it.
Yeah. Don't they say
take responsibility?
Yeah.
If it turns out like terrible, then made the wrong decision. But I learned.
You learned. I think they say
plenty of bad decisions.
But you know, it's kind of one of those things you say that indecision is also a decision as well.
Yes.
Because you're deciding not to decide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to ask you what's helped you build your confidence, but it looks like you've already got it in there.
Yeah. No, but I think we also, it's got to be that healthy one.
Yeah.
And it's also good, as we've said, like, I might sometimes be a bit too overconfident with things and then, or just get too ahead of myself. And it's good to have just some people around that are like, hey, Miriam, like, just have a think about things. Go rushing into something. Hey, Miriam, just think about it before you, head off into the sunset on some great plan, grand new idea.
Yeah.
Just have a think about things.
Yeah.
Go, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Other than like now fitness and stuff like that, what are some of the practices that you used every day to sort of develop that that you use every day to that has helped you, I guess, sustain you, other than obviously exercise and stuff like that, because that's been a big part of you, right?
Yeah, I think that, and I will share my experience. So I was in a crowd in front of like 1,000 people last year, saying I need to level up. I want to level up in my business. How can I level up in my business? Yeah. And then it was kind of like, at the time, I was quite overweight. Yeah. And it was more, it wasn't actually that. It was I had put everyone else first except for myself. I'd put the children first. Yeah. I'd put business first. I put my clients first. I put everything else except for myself first. And then that was the key wake-up call is, no, Miriam, for me to be the best in every area, I have to put myself first. Yeah. And that is so, even just saying that still feels uncomfortable. We're told to, put everyone else first, particularly just everyone, put it all first. And then I went, no, I'm going to be selfish. Yeah. And by being selfish, I am then actually going to be helping myself and helping everyone around me, helping the business by recalibrating back to what do I need to be, what do I need to do to be the best person? Yeah. What do I enjoy doing? You sometimes lose. What do you actually enjoy? Particularly when you get very successful in business, and a lot of everything comes from business. A lot of validation in life comes from your business, comes from your achievements, comes from your awards. You get lost in your identity with the business. Yeah. If business is going well, you feel good. If business is not going so well, you don't feel so great. It's like, no, I need to get back to what do I enjoy, what do I love in and outside of business. And so that's been the journey, I think, for me, is to really just find, okay, what did I used to do pre-COVID that made me happy? Like, what do I like doing that makes me happy? Business, yes, that makes me happy, but what else do I like doing besides business that will make me happy? And I think part of that is just getting all the different areas aligned in life. And one tiny part of that is, just finding the sports that I used to love to play when I was a child, finding the things that I used to love to do. And that's also because, it was COVID, and then I had 2 babies back to back, and that threw me around in trying to run a high-level businesses, manage now 5 children, and do it all. That's when I went, oh, wow, this is a little bit harder now than what it was beforehand. Yeah.
You've touched on a point that I feel most people in business struggle, and which is so much, when you run a business, so much of your identity is tied into the business. I'm the entrepreneur, especially for, you win the awards, you go through, you have some successes, and then so much of the business doesn't work out, then you feel like a failure. I'm only talking about that because I went through that, and it took me a long time to snap out of it, to be honest. Because when I had my first business and it didn't work out the way I didn't want it, I failed. And there was a very strong period of my life when I kind of felt like a failure. And I've met a lot of people who are limping away from, that kind of like crash between identity and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, I've been able to sort of work through that, and now I know that my identity is who I am and nothing to do with my business. But do you mind like sharing what's been useful in terms of being able to have that separation between, this is Miriam, and this is Miriam, and this is the entrepreneur, like having that kind of separation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got no idea. I don't know if I'm still trying to work through it, but I think it's, and I'm no expert in this. I just heard it a few years ago, and they're going, oh, hey, I fall into that trap a little bit. Yeah. I think it's removing, and I'm not an expert, but removing the ego.
Yes.
From business. And I've had plenty of business failures along the way. Fortunately, I've had some that's still growing, and like accounting business still growing. But I've tried to do other things, and they haven't worked out. And it's just like I've got to learn from it. But really, I can see the failure in a lot of business people as well. I deal with people. I know the types of people that have those egos and don't listen and don't be aware. They'll talk, but don't actually listen to other people. Potentially don't treat people the way they should treat people. And so it's like myself and the business, I want people to go, Miriam's actually a really good person.
Yep.
She cares. And I want people to see me as a person, not just as my identity as a business. And I'm all about being authentic. And authentic's probably like the most overused, corny word now. I don't know what the new buzzword would be. I want to be real. And what you see is what you get. If you see me on a video, you're going to get me like that in person. I'm going to treat the waitress at the restaurant exactly how I would my best client. Like, I'm going to be nice to people. I feel like, and this is a side tangent, but I feel like for some reason, because everyone can get everything now, we've got some level of entitlement and demand. And I will now drop clients if they don't treat my office manager, receptionist well. And if they're really nasty to them, I'm not going to work with them. Because I'm like, if you can't treat other people well, like they're all really nice to me, Miriam, not nice to me, but if they're not nice to my office manager, receptionist, I know like what type of person are you? I don't want to work with someone like that. So,
Exactly.
I'm all about working with people that are real and not falling into some of the things that people can.
Let's go back to my script.
Okay,
and talk about
back
marketing.
To the script.
Talk about marketing.
Oh, marketing.
Oh, my marketing.
Oh, what is marketing?
No.
What is this thing called you call marketing?
This thing called marketing. You've won a lot of awards, and had a lot of managed to get a lot of recognition in your industry. All the way to being 40 under 40, and that kind of stuff. Now, I know a lot of that kind of stuff is not deliberate. There's a lot of effort that goes into it. Do you mind sharing what's been your process in terms of going to that? Obviously, we know you had to do some good work to get to that point. I'm sure there's a strategy to sort of get yourself in those positions. What's been your playbook there in terms of?
I go through ebbs and flows. So there's a nice little trophy cabinet that I've got. I think there's a bit of that imposter thing comes through with some people where, and I've gone through it at times. I'm like, I'm not going to apply for this or I'm not going to apply for that because I won't win it. I think the first thing you've got to do is you've got to be in it to win it. And so write the awards, just apply, see who's actually. There's been one time, so the 40 under 40, I was like, I want to win the 40 under 40 or be in the 40 under 40. And I saw a lady who had been in it, Sarah Bartholomew's.
Oh, she's good.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, she was in the 40 under 40. Then I get to meet her. I'm like, oh, wow, she's actually a really nice person.
She is nice.
And then it was next year I applied. I don't think I got in that year. And then I reapplied and I did it again. And I got another time where this is visualization as well. The women in finance, I was at the table. I'd flown to Sydney. I sat down and there's a lady that strolled in late and she had this beautiful red kimono on. I didn't win anything, but that lady won her category and she won the whole thing. And I saw it and I was like, I want to be that. And then I think I applied. I applied again. And it was during COVID. I didn't get to Sydney. I just linked up on a Zoom and was like, I'll just see how I'm going. I don't think they didn't call me. They should have been like, Miriam, get to Sydney. But no one called me, nothing. I'm like, link up. I won my category and I ended up winning the whole thing.
Wow.
And they linked me up on a Zoom under my pergola. Luckily, I had the kids there. I had Sarah Jessica Rowe, or is that her name? I can't remember. Jessica Rowe, maybe. I'll take out the Sarah part. Jessica Rowe was live channeling me. Everyone was in the star. I had baby with a nappy. And they're like, oh, hi.
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry, I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
And they're like, and Jessica Rose like, this is what it's like to be a working mum.
That's it.
I had the family around. We're
That's
all
it.
just shocked.
Yeah.
And my mum was there. And so she interviewed my mum and she said, how do you feel? And it was just like, wow, I had visualized and wanted to be that a few years ago.
Yeah.
Wasn't successful, but kept trying,
Yeah.
and then won the whole thing. So I would say to anyone, like, and it's just part of that validation. No one, when you're running a business, no one is there to cheer you on.
Yeah.
Like, no one. If anything, people sometimes start to get a bit jealous. There's a bit of a tall poppy syndrome going on. You might start to become more successful than your friends. So going into an awards helps just give you that little pat on the back and that reassurance, and then also then using it for marketing. I get a lot of people, new clients, because when you apply for awards, you get listed. Your name gets listed on areas. So people go, oh, I saw you won that award when I Googled. And ChatGPT then recognizes that you're starting to win awards. They then start to, like, people have Googled and said, ChatGPT, what accountant should I go to? And it then starts getting picked up in ChatGPT. Oh, like, I've literally won clients because they asked ChatGPT what accountant is the best in Australia. And then Miriam has now won a few awards. But award winning is secondary to providing a really good service for your clients, happy clients, and then also then starting to get the results.
Of course. I've got a few more questions on marketing, but there's something you've talked about, this whole visualizing stuff.
Yeah.
When I think of visualizing, I'm not sure whether I'm thinking about the woo-woo version, whether it is, but I know you're a very practical person. Can you guide me, like, what does visualization look like to you? Is it you're sitting down, writing down, you sort of like sitting down, like folding?
No. I do a little bit. So those two examples where I saw it, and I think it's more like you need to sometimes see what you want to become. And if you've seen someone do it, then you're like, she's done it. I want to do it. So there's those times, and then there's times where, I am visualizing myself in a bikini body right now. In the bikini, I'm visualizing. I've never felt comfortable wearing a bikini. So now I'm visualizing very shallow. We're supposed to be business. I'm visualizing that. So there's different, very ad hoc, different ways of visualizing, John. And I have no one succinct method. I'm not going to be writing a book on it anytime soon.
A book on visualization.
No, but it's more, I think, being able to see someone or see it and then go, I want to be it. And then that constant reminding about it. When things get tough, it's like, no, this is where I want to be.
That's good. Now, I wanted to clarify because a lot of these stuff, people might make it sound more woo than it is. It could be like something very practical that you do, but for someone who's doing visualization, and then they start going, you know what I mean? Like, some people might just make it more woo than it is. That's why I wanted you to sort of shed some light in terms of like, okay, how is it, how is it that you do it, and what does it mean for you? Because I think for me it's the same. I'm starting to get more into that kind of whole visualization and sort of like seeing stuff and then embodying what you think we're seeing.
And then being positive as well. And then I think also, like, I listen to a lot of YouTube, a lot of different ones, and it's like acting as if you already have it. And then people don't get that, you don't get that desperation or anything like that coming through. Acting as if you are already what you want to be, who you want to be. Acting like that person now. So I want to be a top businesswoman. I am a top businesswoman.
You are a top businesswoman.
Act as if I'm a top businesswoman. Then my time is a lot more precious. I go, could that person mess around with a top businesswoman, or can that person waste my time? Like, I rocked up late for John's podcast today. I'm very sorry and apologetic for that.
It's okay. You had a valid excuse.
Not have a good excuse. But if someone, and that's, I think, as well as a bit of a guard now for myself, if someone doesn't appreciate the time or the effort, then there's no second chances a lot of the time, potentially on what the excuse are. But I'll get clients book in and then there's a stupid excuse, or they give me no excuse, they cancel, and it's like, I'm not working with that type of person anymore. And previously I would have given a leeway or something like that. But, you know, someone booked in right before Christmas, very difficult time. Like, why do you book in right before Christmas and then didn't answer their phone, didn't send me an email? They get email reminders and then said, sorry, I was out shopping after when I'd followed them up. And then they were like, can I rebook in? I'm like, no, sorry, I can't take you on right now. And that's like, okay, I'm now getting to that. Beforehand, I would have been like, yeah, sure, book in another time. It's like, no, if you're not going to appreciate my time, then we don't converse.
Yeah. Because it's one of those things whereby if you don't put those boundaries in place and you don't have that respect for yourself, people will just, it's not like they walk over you, but you're kind of setting the long relationship. You're setting the relationship long from the get-go.
Yeah.
So it becomes this perpetual thing where they keep doing the same thing over and over and over, and it never really ended. Going back to marketing.
Yes, marketing. Love it. I love marketing. Everything is marketing. What is a business without marketing?
Yeah, exactly. What has been some of what strategies? I know you've done really well in Instagram and things like that. What's been some of the strategies that you've been trying of late that have been really working for you?
Good question.
Yes.
So I'm very proud to, it is a lot of social media, but just really localized and with just building connections with my existing clients. So I'm really putting, and I don't even need to do it though. I get so many referrals that I don't actually probably have to market, but I actually like doing it. But I feel like at the moment I've got the killing two birds with one stone, building my profile, and then that's just generating me clients. And keeping my clients happy, and that generates me more clients. But I am a bit sneaky. I do add my clients to Facebook. Cool. I do add my clients to Instagram. I get a new business. What's your Instagram? I get a client. If I've got a good relationship with them, they're getting added to my Facebook. And guess what? They then see me working and doing my videos, and that costs me nothing. And then they then will refer their clients on, and I get tagged in a lot of Facebook groups. I'm getting constantly tagged. Today I was tagged by a client. Sometimes I don't want to get tagged because they're like really messy situations that they're disclosing in a Facebook post about all their problems, and I'm like, no, I don't want this one. Or they're trying to blame the accountant for things, and I'm like, no, this isn't the accountant's fault. This is your fault, how you got yourself into a mess. So I'm like, don't tag me in those ones, please. But they tag me in it, and then I'll do follow-ups. So I'm very proactive in things that don't cost me money, but are building connections with people and genuine connections. And then also, I am spending a little bit of money, not huge amounts of money on ads, and just trying to build up my strategy. So I'm doing a few things. I want to do a few extra things this year, but I'm constantly just seeing what's working, what's not working, and doubling down on the things that do work.
Perfect. How has your sales process, your sales strategy evolved as the business has grown? Are you still doing all the sales? Have you got to a point in time whereby you have other people dealing with that, or?
I've got other people doing sales, but I still do a lot of it.
Okay.
I love what I do, so it's kind of trying to, and that's where I've got to we're scaling the business. So it can't just be the Miriam show. I'm building up some really good team members.
Awesome.
So, and then I think the focus this year is my good team members, and then also seeing how AI can just try and help us provide better service to our clients, and it being not so much like just people, but I'm still learning that, and I think everyone's going to be learning how we can do this better over the next couple of years, and that's going to be our competitive advantage, those that are going to learn and really adapt and put it in. I was meeting with a liquidator and a financial advisor, and same age as me, really switched on guys, and we're all just they're all just getting heavy into AI and how they can make it work for their business. And we're like, how is someone who's not in this going to keep up with this? Because we're going to be able to reduce our costs and provide a better level of service. So I'm excited about the potential for those things. That's off from marketing. That's more just about, you're applying it to every area in the business.
So as
I know you go deep. You're deep in the AI.
I am so deep into the AI rabbit hole right now. I'm trying not to be very modulated in terms of how I talk to it, because when you're so deep into something that you're still like you now become so much of a nerd that when you start talking about it, it becomes so
You're going to
nerd.
scare everyone.
You're gonna scare everyone.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to sort of now find the right language to tell people, okay, this is what it is, as opposed to because right now I'm so deep. If someone talks to me, I could just go blah, and then it would just be,
Yeah.
it would just be.
You need to dumb it down for all of us and
Yeah.
give us like the 5 easy AI
Yeah.
hacks we can be
Yeah.
putting in our business tomorrow.
Yeah.
Please send me an email with 5 easy AI hacks that I can implement tomorrow.
Done.
I'm opening that email. I'm reading every single last one of them.
Done.
Yeah.
Done. That is something that I can. That's something that can be done quite easily. So you said you're currently in the process of scaling.
Yes.
What's yours? How, is it more like? Are you scaling more like adding people, adding technology, like adding what does scaling look like to you at the moment? Is it more like going to different territories? Is it more like how does scaling look like to you at the moment?
Yeah. So I've got some referral partners that we're working in
Oh
with.
yeah.
So that is like I've worked in with some referral partners for the last 10 years. So it's like that's worked for me. I know them really well.
Yeah.
How can we make this even better?
Gotcha.
So that's a key area and then I'm getting more clients now.
Yeah.
I need to increase my team. So I've put on more team members, but then you need someone to manage those team members.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay. So I've been mindful about not doing too many things too quickly because I don't want things to get out of control.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy with the team that I've onboarded.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, we need more team, and then I need my team to step up and then do what they love. So there's a whole lot of things that I'm going to be working on this year.
Yeah.
And I've kind of just been like, everyone's been having a little break right now.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be getting my team doing what they want to do, then finding the people that we need.
Yeah.
And then obviously then looking at technology. And that's not it is a good area. I like it, but it's also a very overwhelming area. You're in a rabbit hole with technology.
Yeah.
And I don't like going down those deep rabbit holes like John with technology. But hey, we've got to do it. And that's a mindset. We've got to be all over it.
We've got to be all over it. But I always say yes, I'm deep in the rabbit hole with technology, but that's like you with accounting and things you do. I spent 20 years of my life in tech, and then you spend a lot of just about the same time in accounting. So it's kind of like one of those things where if you ask me about accounting, I'll be like, watch me walk away.
Yeah.
Surprisingly,
watch everyone walk away.
My goodness, if there's one thing that is one area of my business that terrifies me, is that one. What are some of the challenges you're finding right now as you sort of go through that transition of that growth transition?
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges or bottlenecks you're finding right now, and how are you going to?
I think everyone's going to whinge about staff and finding good staff, but I really went through a reflective moment and that's the thing. When I was down and out, I had some team members leave.
Yes.
And at the time I was devastated, and it's kind of like, Miriam, am I being the best leader I can be? Because if I was being the best leader I could be, my team would be staying. They wouldn't be going chasing. And it was only a bit of a shock exit for one person. But I go, if they saw me as the leader I am now, I wouldn't have lost that team member. I've got to take responsibility for the culture of my team. And I feel like anyone that's saying there's staff shortages, we can't find the right staff, have a look at the business, have a look at the business leader and go, do people actually want to work for you? And I've got one of my clients comes in and does conflict resolution between managers and team, and the manager brings them in and she's like, the problem is the manager, not the actual team. So she's got to try and work through with the manager the issues, and the manager's hired her to solve the problems of the team. And it's like, you got to look at the manager first. So I feel like I've just got to become the best leader I can be and lead the people and lead my team, lead my clients. And then, we'll deal with any shortages or skills shortages. because every industry now has got those issues.
Yeah, everyone's got the same issues. How do you feel like your role as a leader in the business has evolved over the years?
Yeah, really good question.
Yeah.
When one of my team members hired me, and I'm probably like not a typical leader.
Yeah.
I'm probably a bit of an oversharer. Like like my team member said to me, she's like, "You've really changed." She was very scared to approach me in the beginning, and didn't know what was going on. And even I'm probably don't follow a typical textbook, but is there a typical textbook? Like, is there a type of leader that you should be? Like, I go with how I feel I should lead.
Yeah.
And I put on a new hire and they're like, "Wow, Miriam, you're not micromanaging us at all." And I'm like, I'm not here to micromanage you.
Yeah.
You're very skilled and experienced.
Yeah.
And come to me with issues, come to me with things that you want to change, and I'll look into it. And I think it's also probably learning how I did not want to lead from other people around me. I won't mention names.
Yes.
I won't say names, but you see a leader and you go, it's their way or the highway.
Yep.
And you go, is that really going to work in this day and age to be it's my way or the highway leader? Or do you want to actually hear from different perspectives and think about things that you need to change? And sometimes it's, I'm doing this, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So you can be completely blind to things, but then if someone brings something to you, you go, oh, you might get a bit offended or whatever else, and just go, okay, is there any truth to what they're saying? If there's truth to it, I need to look at changing it. And that's the old school, my way, the highway. Everyone has to toe the line with the leader. You are scared of your boss. You can't approach your boss. That's not going to work today.
Yeah.
If you want to have a team that's going to hang around you, want to be with you, want to help you grow the business. Yeah. So I think it's finding that balance.
Yeah.
I don't even like the word balance. So it's finding who I can be as a leader, and then forgetting about the typical roles, and go. And my team now want to work with me because I'm this weird, cool leader that people are excited to come to work for me.
It's exciting.
Bit of a weird one for you there, John.
No. It's one of those things. Leveling up your leadership skills is a very, very big one, because I always think, like, if you can't lead people, you end up becoming this guy who is a genius with you're either a leader or you're a genius with lots of little helpers, and then everyone is dependent on you, and they don't get to sort of execute. I mean, you're only as good as your team. Otherwise, you never really go past a certain point, would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want your team to be better, you have to be better.
You gotta be better.
I gotta be better.
You gotta be
I
better.
want my team to be better. It starts with me first.
Yeah. It sounds.
And then how can I get the best out of my team?
Yeah.
Instead of whinging about your team, people whinge about, my staff member.
Yeah.
Go to the leader. How can I bring out the best in that person?
Yeah.
And if you're constantly whinging and they're not changing, are they the right person? Should they be in your ship?
Yeah.
But I hired that person in the beginning, so I got to take responsibility.
You did that.
Yeah.
You started it.
I've done some quick fires.
Yes.
And then we won't go into the quick fires, but hey, you live and learn.
We can go to the quick fires if you want to. No. Too risky.
I think the issue I've learned. Yeah. So I've hired people that weren't the right fit, and I've tried to make it work.
Yeah.
And I've believed in them, worked, and I've just tried. And then I did a hire, and I just went, you're not the right fit for us.
Yeah.
Like, straight away I could work it out.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I have to do this to you. And since then have made some good decisions. But yeah, it's learning really quickly and not trying to hold on to things. And it's a difficult process having to fire someone or let them go. But, when they're bringing, and it's one bad apple can ruin the whole apples.
Yeah.
And recognizing that pretty quickly.
Yeah. But you're better making that decision early so you can let them go. Maybe they can go find whatever they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
As opposed to you having to drag the whole team down. Right now that you're in scaling mode, I'm still in that little rabbit hole of scaling mode.
Yeah.
How do you decide what aspect business to focus on and know what to focus on? what do you invest in? What do you not invest in? Like, how do you have like a mental model? Or do you have a way of thinking of, I need to invest in this, and I need to focus on this, I need to focus on that? Because there's so many competing things. Even you and I talk about, oh, you got to do AI, do this, do that. Like, there's so many things that you need to be doing. Like, how do you have a mental model or a way to think, okay, I'm going to do this and that and that. This is the order. This is the timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we grew the business quite significantly last year.
Yeah.
And I couldn't say we had this detailed plan of how we made it happen, and we had all these KPIs, and I monitored everyone.
Yeah.
So I this is an area like I do need to get better in, and how I'm going to track it. But at least it's just focusing on what's working within the business and being really aware. And I am very hands-on still in the business, so I can see what is working. And then also, what are we good at? Yeah. And then some people you'll see, they're trying to get into different areas and they've never been able to break into it. And it's like, maybe that's a sign that just don't go into that area. Yeah. It's like, I want to do really glamorous accounting, advisory, CFO things. Like, I want to get really glamorous with my service offering. Yeah. But then I go, what's working for me? Yeah. It's like tax returns, financials. Yeah. I'm getting so many clients and referrals. Yeah. And it's not the glamorous things that I wish I could be doing. But and that's the thing. Sometimes people just don't want to do the boring things. The boring, the things that make you money, the bread and butter, because we want to go off chasing shiny, different, new ventures, new prospects. Yes. We want all the shiny, glamorous things. Yeah. And it's like, hey, day in, day out. And I've seen that. I was a part of a mastermind, and these really successful business owners, they'd grown really successful businesses. Then all of a sudden, they've hired a CEO in, and all of a sudden, they're not in the business, and they go off and they start this stupid little side hustle that is then taking and bleeding all the money from their existing business. And sometimes, like, just focus on what you're good at, what got you there, than starting some little thing on the side that is costing money, costing time, and they could be then scaling what is working for them. Yeah. But it sometimes gets a little bit boring.
They forgot the, do you remember that story of the goat that lays a golden egg? They forgot the goat that lays a golden eggs and started chopping the, was that the story of Jack and the Beanstalk? I can't remember.
Yeah, and actually that's what a business coach actually said to me last year. Yeah. I paid a lot of money for a business coach to tell me to focus on tax. Yep. Take my money, focus on tax. Oh my God. Because I'm a little bit entrepreneurial. I like to have a lot of things going on. Yeah. I was at one point like just really heavy in my own Airbnbs and doing my own linen and just like living my best life, getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning to make beds because I wanted to save some money. And then it's like, and then I got a few bad complaints about stuff, and I'm like, F you, I'm not very good with handling customer service. Yeah. And I paid a lot of money to a business coach to say, Miriam, focus on tax. This is what you've been doing. This is what you're good at. Yeah. And I go, oh, it's a little bit boring sometimes, guys. But hey.
I want adventure, variety.
I want to change linen and have some dramas with that on my own Airbnb. And it's like, and that's where a lot of the success came from is, and I've already built up a successful business, but it's taking it to the next level and going, hey, focus on this. Yeah. This is working. Yeah. You're good at it. There's a need in the market for an accountant that can talk to people, that can communicate. And, hey, surprise, surprise, we grew the business.
Yeah, because you're doing more than tax. You're doing a lot of like strategy, the strategy, not more than tax. You're doing a lot of the heavy stuff, the property, the super, like all this extra strategy around tax that a lot of that makes a big difference. So it's kind of like almost if you dig deep and you just focus on that, there's so much meat in the bone just around that little vertical.
Yeah. There's a lot of like I've built up quite a significant client base now. So it's like there's always things going on. My clients are certainly keeping me on my toes. And it's just how can I better service the clients that I've got and then grow.
I guess the one thing I was going to ask is, okay, so you've got a big focus of what you want to achieve in future, then you've got the term. How do you sort of reconcile between this is my long-term goal and these are the stuff, like, because you still got to be in the weeds, short-term versus long-term. How do you sort of reconcile between the two of them? Like, do what you need to do today and still keep your eyes on the big thing that you want to try and do in the long-term goal you want to achieve in future.
Yeah, very difficultly. I feel like anyone that's done a long-term plan, things never quite go to plan. So I know where I want to be as a person. I know where I'd love the business to be numbers-wise, but then I'm very much focusing still on the day-to-day. So I guess I probably got in my head these amazing aspirational things. But then it's like we can do all this aspirational, I want to be this, but it's just then getting back to the day-to-day and going, and I constantly tell myself, if this was easy, everyone would be doing it. And it's not. It's not easy.
It is not.
Like it's one of the most, I was chatting to one of my hairdressing client today. So he's got hairdressing salons, and it's like being in business is basically a personal development journey. Like it's you have to back yourself. You're now responsible for other people. There is no greater challenge in life than running a business and growing the business and dealing with all of the I want to be here in 10 years, and then all of a sudden something happens and you're walking with your tail between your legs and having to be face up to the music. And still and even sometimes things that you do don't succeed, and you still got to face up to everything about it. And you still got to show up, or you still got to fight. I think that's the thing that I've seen when we were doing our first, when I met you with a course, just the amount of people that just gave up.
Oh, yeah.
And didn't had good ideas or just didn't pursue it.
I know, the amount of people who've failed since then.
Yeah, and then a few just kept going, and maybe it wasn't even their first business, but they kept going, and it's having that stamina to keep going until you find something that is working.
It almost feels like sometimes, it's kind of like you have to, what am I trying to say? It almost feels like sometimes people, you almost kind of have to sort of, anyway, I've lost my train of thought. I'm sure it'll come back.
I'm sure it'll come back at 3 a.m. tonight.
It'll come back at 3 a.m. when
John can record it and be like, I remembered what it was, Miriam. Come back in.
Come back in.
For my enlightening thing about how lots of people that we met didn't keep pursuing what they wanted to. And but hey, it's part of the journey.
It is part of the journey, and I kind of feel like when we started, when I met you back in the day, I was in another business, and that failed miserably. So I had to go back to work and get a job, and then come out and start this business now. So it's almost, you gotta think of don't think about the failure as you failed. You think you've learned, and then the experiences you learn tend to compound. Because I look back now at some of the things I'm doing now are probably lessons we learned back in the day, and then you didn't implement them, or maybe you're not in the right headspace. So it's kind of like, you didn't fail, you learned. I don't know. Maybe I'm saying something. Maybe I'm saying that to make myself feel better. But it's either you fail or you learn. Sorry, it's either you learn or I don't know. You learn or I can't remember the phrase.
But it's don't be afraid to fail again.
Exactly.
And I've learned this a lot with business partnerships. I've gone into a lot of business partnerships now, and they don't work out. And then you get, I don't want to do business partnerships. They just there's always an issue, but it's no, you got to have faith that some will work out.
Exactly.
You got to come in with a positive mindset. You got to go, I burn the boats. What's the worst case scenario from this anyway? And can I live with that? But that's I've failed at business partnerships. We had to put a business into liquidation that I bought into. And it's not a good thing, but in the end, it's just that's part of business, and I think it's don't getting attached to it emotionally as well.
I think so.
With it.
I think so.
Trying to keep the emotion out of it. It is business, and it's hard.
I totally agree with you there. That for me has been the biggest mind shift. It's sort of not put aside the emotion, and it's kind of like how you said, you gotta go to it with a positive attitude of if you take enough shots and you don't go there with the right intention, if you research all the partnerships you've done, you can have lots of them that failed, but you just need one or maybe two, maybe or whatever that does so well. I remember when I had my own business, I had a lot of them that failed, and then I had one guy who, in a span of about 2 years probably brought me a couple $100,000. Just one partner.
Yeah.
My friend Michael, you know. So it's kind of like, yeah, and I've had lots of other partnership fails, then just one.
And
So
no one can take away what you learn.
no one can take away what you learn. And I think that's one thing we need to remind ourselves, no one can take away the lessons you've learned.
Yeah.
It's now starting to feel like therapy, Miriam.
Yeah. Like, it's okay, John. Just keep going. Just show up every day.
Yeah.
No matter what, no matter if you got scars.
You got scars.
Teary.
Yes.
Just keep trying. You'll get there. And that's what I tell myself.
Yeah.
Keep trying. Get up every single day.
Yeah.
Even when you don't want to, even when you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
Like, have your little cry. There's plenty of times where we're like, Josie cancelled my clients today. Something's upset me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I got to get on with it.
Yeah.
Have your down day.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that often now, which is good. And that's the thing, like that. If a year ago, if I had an issue, I'd take the day off. I'd have a little cry.
Yeah.
Now, 5 minutes,
Yeah, like,
have my cry.
Decompress, have a cry, get on with it.
Yeah.
So now, the next question for you is, being where you are right now, a bigger business, a bigger family, lots of other things, more businesses than you had when I first met you. How do you structure your time different today compared to how things were how you did when you were smaller in maybe not as much complexity? How do you structure your time differently?
I think you got to be so much more stricter now.
Yeah.
Really strict.
Yeah.
And be really mindful.
Yeah.
But I've now got the issue, and it's pressure.
Yeah.
Like, I have to have a nanny.
Yeah.
So now I'm a lot more focused when I'm working because I've got a nanny, I've got an admin, I've got all these people that I'm paying while I'm sitting here working. So I need to make sure I'm really productive.
Yeah.
So from a practical perspective, I have to be way more productive now.
Yeah.
I didn't have those pressures or those issues a while back. So I live off my calendar.
Yes.
And it's a good thing for me.
Yeah.
Because if I had no appointments, I would wake up whenever I wanted and I would float around. I would get to things when I did.
Yep.
Now I start my day, my appointments start at 10:30 and I have my little floating around beforehand, and then 10:30 I'm on doing my appointments.
Yeah.
I've got a little bit of the like I've got the luxury where I have to be highly scheduled, which helps me. Yeah. Otherwise, I would be very lazy and would waste a lot of time. Yeah. And now it's like game on, and my time is so precious now. Yeah. And then it's the extra pressure of what is my highest and best use of my time. But then it's also like I need some chill time. Yeah. And it's if I want to take a Friday off. Yeah. And have some fun, I need to not feel bad for taking that Friday off to have fun, because you need to have some fun, you need to have some downtime. If I want to take some time off with the family, I need to not feel bad about doing that. And I'm getting better at not feeling like I took some time off before Christmas, and it was like, I needed this time off. Previously, I was like, work. And I love to work. Yeah. And that's the problem sometimes we have is when you love something or you get the validation from it. Yeah. How do you get validation from saying, I'm going to take Friday off to just be? Yeah. And I'm still working on that, but I'm getting better at no, I need to have this day off. To just do me. No children, no work, and I think that's the thing that
fancy trip.
A little trip to Japan.
A fancy trip to Japan. We're not gonna go there. Oh, shit. Nah. Okay, fine. Oh, that was fun. I think for me it's the same. Like that whole idea of taking some time off and not having to feel the guilt. I really envy people that can do that. My wife is so good at it. She can just switch it off and just go, all right, I'm being a wife and a mom now. This time to switch off. So sometimes I have to rely on her to sort of put the rules and say, all right, like now I know I would have loved to sit down after this and just start straight away, start editing the podcast and do stuff like that. But she's like, all right, as soon as you're done, we're going home, we're having a date.
Yeah.
And so I kind of feel that's what's been helping. One thing a lot of people who are either in business or high pressure careers struggle with is that I'm not gonna call it balance because you can't really be balanced because you can't. There's no such thing as balance. That harmony between work, personal is okay. People call it life work balance, but I prefer to call it harmony.
Yeah.
It's something I probably personally also struggle with, juggling between all that. How do you juggle, or is that something you're also working on?
Yeah, I think that this is such a hot topic.
Yeah.
I have just owned that I'm a crazy person.
Yeah.
I don't have an off switch.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yes.
I sometimes just have to go into beast mode.
Yes.
And my family have to just respect that I'm like, tax time, I'm in beast mode.
Yes.
I fucking love it.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
I just live and breathe off of it.
Yes.
And everyone's kind of just got to respect that I'm going into beast mode for a few weeks.
Yep.
And that's Miriam.
Yep.
And she is crazy.
Yep.
And I'm owning my crazy.
Yep.
And then I'll have some chill time. And I think it's in the chill time.
Yeah.
For me, it's trying to be present in that chill time.
Yeah.
And if I'm in the pool playing with my kids, I'm present with that.
Yeah.
Or if we're just having dinner, cooking dinner, I'm present with the dinner. And just trying to be really present in the things that and even sometimes trying to be present in the things that I might find a little bit boring.
Yeah.
And mundane.
Yes.
And just appreciate that that's what it is, and find the beauty in that. Sometimes the things that we might find not as exciting, as thrilling as other things, like going into beast mode.
Yeah, that's it.
So I think it's owning that crazy for me, rather than trying to find the balance.
That's okay. Yeah.
And it's working at the moment.
That sounds very. Listening to you, it sounds very liberating. And that's something I probably should embrace like just embracing the fact that yes, I'm a workaholic. I feel like it's like Alcoholic Anonymous.
Yeah.
My name is John and I'm a workaholic.
Yeah.
My name
is Miriam. I'm a workaholic.
I'm a workaholic. Workaholics
I'm not
Anonymous.
even a recovering workaholic. I was at one point a recovering workaholic. Now I just love it.
Yeah. Okay, this podcast is going to be changed to Workaholics. Not anonymous, but workaholics. Workaholics gone wild, or workaholics in public.
Workaholic with a bit of ADHD in there.
With a bit of ADHD. Yeah. It's funny. That whole ADHD thing. I've actually, the more I delved into that stuff, the more I've that's another thing that I've learned about myself that has been very liberating. Just knowing that that I've got it, and just kind of having that kind of like, it's very liberating when you kind of embrace who you are, I think. Then you don't have to feel, because I kind of feel like we spend so much time and energy, I don't know, beating ourselves, putting ourselves in a certain, expecting ourselves to be like other people who seem to have all their act together. And I'm like, no, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not balanced. I'm who I am. I'm a bit random.
Like I'm on. I'm on the weekend. If I go into a shop, I'm looking at how the shop is getting run from a business perspective. That's who I am.
Yeah.
I want to hang around other people that are talking about, why is there 10 staff here and they're not doing anything? Like, that's a cool conversation for me to have. Or how could this business market themselves better? How could they be doing things? Like, that's who I am. I'm not going to sit there in a cafe place and talk about the weather.
Yeah. Same.
I want to have a discussion around, maybe we might talk about the weather, but hey, when I'm doing a meeting, I'm talking about the things that I love.
Yeah. And I think have you found like having friends and people that are around you that think like that working for you? Because that's the same. I find it really boring. You're sitting there and everyone wants to talk about some stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to talk about that. I just want to talk about business. I want to talk about technology. I want to talk about stuff that only I'm interested in.
Yeah. Well, I think I have, as I've progressed, I've probably, and like I had a birthday party and invited a whole lot of different people around, and it was really cool to mix with different people. So I think it's good to mix with, to somehow include some mixing with people. But also I am very much protective of who I'm also hanging out with. But it's more, I think it's hanging around, like just being aware of more that toxic people or the people that and it's not going to help or serve me the types of conversations. It's being really aware, I think, of who you surround yourself with. But hey, my birthday party, I had a whole mixture of people, and it was great to have different walks of life at it.
Yeah. All right. As we start to come to an end.
Oh, we're coming to an end.
Oh,
exciting! This could go on all day, John. We could be talking like for 2 days.
I would love it. I have to get you on another episode.
Yeah, let's do it.
There's a lot more interesting stuff to talk about. What's next in your business growth journey? What are some of the things you're excited about in the future that you're like, I want to do this, I want to get to this point? What's next for you in terms of your business growth journey?
Think it is a very vulnerable moment. So my dad passed away unexpectedly at 63 years old. And for me, that changed everything. And I go, I do not want to play small. I want to push myself, because you never know. There is nothing guaranteed in life. And it's like, am I happy with where I am at? And so it's just really going, Miriam, don't play small. Don't make excuses, or think about how I can do things. But then also giving myself a bit of breathing space as well, because we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves, an incredible amount of pressure. And that's sometimes not a good thing. So I think it's being okay and comfortable with like pushing yourself, but then also knowing as a human who you are, and knowing that, like, you know, there'll be certain times, like John wanted to do the recording last week, and I was like, John, I didn't respond to him. I'm like, I'm not in a good headspace last week.
You ghosted me.
You're not going to get the best out of me last week. Yeah. This week, different story. I'm in a really good headspace. So it was like, okay, I'm just knowing more about yourself and what you can, when and how you can push yourself, and learning that as well. I think that's been a big thing for me, is like, okay, what motivates me? And then how do I get the best out of myself? Yeah. So it's all that personal growth.
Yes.
Just, if anything, just personally growing. And I think that's how we connected and why we like each other. So and how we get along is because we are growing.
Yes.
And we want to grow.
Yes.
And we want to learn. It's like, if I'm doing those things, we're all winning.
Yeah. Totally agree. Nah, that's exciting.
It's growth.
It's growth.
It's all about growth.
It's growth. It's evolution. We're becoming better people along the way. We're learning and unlearning new things. We're like shedding old behaviors and picking up new ones.
Kaizen, constantly improving, lifelong learning, all of those things.
There you go.
And hanging around people that want to do the same.
Absolutely.
That's like when we go to a cafe, are we hanging around? Am I talking with people that love those things as well?
Yeah.
And you do, John. You're always learning something, even through business failures.
Yes.
I think, John, you always have been learning and wanting to improve.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I've had to give myself some credit of. I'm always learning and looking to improve. But I think the biggest part of me has been learning to shed that identity piece of learning that I'm not my business and I'm not my failures, and kind of like just embracing that the failures were also part of learning. Because I think when you've had some spectacular failures in business, I kind of feel like the last big failure that I had, I kind of feel like I let myself linger too much than I should have. I groveled more than I need to. But then again, I'm also grateful that I went through that whole process of groveling and kind of feeling sorry for myself, because it's taught me so much as well. So it's kind of like, in a way, I wish I kind of snapped out sooner. Now it's kind of been like learning how to snap out of things sooner. But I kind of wish that I had learned how to snap out sooner. But then, look, it was also a very good learning experience in a way. So yes, everything is a learning experience. You live, you learn. You make a lot of decisions, and every decision or no decision is a decision, really. Yeah.
Really cool insight there, John.
Yeah.
I'm feeling inspired.
Hey?
I'm feeling inspired.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah.
I'm hanging around inspiring people. That's why.
Loving it.
No, but you've also been very inspiring. You've also been quite inspiring. Hanging around you has also been quite inspiring. just I think sometimes what happens is when your energy is low and you are with a lot of people where their energy is high, it's kind of like you almost feed off that energy. Or when you're going through those moments of self-doubt, and then you've got other friends of yours that are kind of like pushing themselves, you almost kind of feel like, what's my excuse? So I've had a lot of moments in my life when I've kind of like I've been down on myself and feeling that kind of low confidence. Then I looked after you and I've seen what you've been through in the last decade or so, and the fact that you still keep pushing, the fact that you still kind of like keep persisting and kind of keep pushing. So it's also been good for me to just kind of watch. And that's why I think in business you have to learn to be very happy for the people around you, because I kind of feel like when your people around you are succeeding, then it's also an opportunity for you to say, oh, I always feel like success is like one big what do you call it, like a conveyor belt or like a row. Like, if someone in front of you is succeeding and you're in the same row or in the same conveyor belt, then it's just a matter of time until you get to the counter or you get to the front of the row, and then that becomes your chance. So I kind of feel that's why it's important to be very happy for your friends that are succeeding, and not just kind of like, but be very excited about your friends that are succeeding and kind of share them on. So
that's it. If successful people around you,
Yeah.
hold on to them, latch on to them, find out what they're doing.
Yeah.
Rather than get jealous or try and bring them down or bitch about them behind their back. Hunt them down. And hang out with them.
Cheer them on and
learn from them. And then also know as well. But I think there, like with all you've said, there's also a bit of, we see what everyone else is doing on social media.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're like, why aren't I doing that? Or they're off jet setting around everywhere. And I'm not. So I think, and I see it with business coaches.
Yes.
I'm making 8 figures a year. I'm so successful with my business.
Yes.
And then I know behind the scenes, I see their financials and I call bullshit on a whole lot of the things going on where they're trying to make themselves seem so great. And then behind the scenes, it's not what it is at all. So I think it's like we don't need to get down on competing or comparing ourselves to different people on business, and just being happy with our own journey. And being content with our own journey. And then, if we don't skyrocket from 0 to 7 figures within a year, not bashing ourselves up. You get 10 grand. Like my first year, I made $1,000 in business. Like my second year, made maybe $8,000 in business. So fluffing around. And it was a journey for me, learning. It's like, okay, not everyone's going to get that overnight success. And no, that overnight success isn't overnight success. It was 20 years of whatever most of the time, unless you somehow randomly scam everyone out of something.
And you almost forget sometimes all those things you've been doing have been compounding for a long time to get to the point in time where you are. What advice or principles do you hold true that have that you'd like to pass on? Like, you've also say, here's my advice, or here's a set of principles that I would like to pass on to someone who is either starting out or in that growth journey. I mean, luckily for you, you get to sort of see behind the scene of lots of other businesses and look at some of the things you're doing. So what sort of advice would you give people who are in that growth mode, that are starting to grow their business? Whether it's some principle from your end or anything.
It's already what I've said, John. Just start.
Yes.
And be aware and learn from people that have been there, done that experience.
Done that. Yes.
The thing that I don't like the most is people getting a coach on or something and the coach hasn't done what you want to do.
Yes.
I mean, like it's learning business from a university professor that has never done business before. They know all the textbook and the textbook gets thrown out of the window when you're getting out there and you're like, okay, I've started my business. What do I do now? So it's trying to, and I think that's something that I've done well is just learning, being aware, and then constantly just going with what is working in your business. Like, and just trying to look at every single thing, trying a whole lot of different things
Yes.
to see what is going to work, what is landing in my business.
Yeah.
I'm getting very passionate and excited about this.
That's exciting.
But like, yeah, in the start, it was doing a whole lot of different things. Yeah, it was a lot of things were a waste of time, but eventually I got there.
Yeah.
Just trying to fast track that process,
Yeah.
which I think you can do now.
Yeah.
With the internet now,
Yeah.
with a lot of things. And that's why you got to look at it. It's easier now, potentially, for someone.
Yeah. Are there any books, podcasts, tools, mentor that have significantly impacted your entrepreneurial journey? Things, people you're learning from, people you've learned from, that you would say, hey, you go follow this person, or
Nah.
books? Yeah.
Nah, I'm going to say,
Yeah.
like I've read a lot. I've read every single one. Could I tell you what, like I could tell you one key principle.
Yeah.
I think the thing is learn something and implement it. Try it. Do it. Stop talking about it.
Yes.
Like if you want to be good at something, do it.
Yeah.
If you want to be good at your Instagram, start creating reels. Work out.
Yes.
It's not as easy as what you think. If you want to be
Yeah.
good at like something, start doing it.
Yeah.
Less talk, more do.
Yeah.
Is what I would say. Less reading, like,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. You can read every single book. If you're not going to go out there and back yourself and try something, what is the point of reading all these books?
There's no point.
Like, back yourself, do something, give it a shot.
Yeah.
Have the scars, have the wounds, learn.
Yeah. As we come to an end, is there anything that I should have asked you that I forgot to ask you?
No, we'll do another one.
We'll do another one.
We'll do another one when John's like in the flow. No, I think you've done a great job, John.
Oh, thank you.
And you're backing it up. You said for ages that you're going to do this.
Yes.
I've been like, when is this happening? When is this happening? You did a few test runs before.
Yes.
But you're doing it. You've been amazing support for me along the journey.
Thank you.
And that's, I think, find really authentic people that you can connect with.
Yeah.
That you can share it with.
Yeah.
And it's about just enjoying it.
I think so.
And I've been grateful to have you on the journey. I know you're going to be here forever.
Yeah. Same.
And we're going to be just like hustling our little asses off for the coming years.
Yes.
And it's great to be able to share that and celebrate all the highs and lows.
Exciting. I can't wait. I'm really excited, and I'm grateful for our friendship and your support and all the things you do for me. And yeah, it's exciting. All right, Miriam will be back for more.
I'm like, yeah.
That's the pod.